It's time for the whole 9 yards. Hello again, everyone. Thanks for joining me. I'm Ralph Ventre. We have a lot to do to prepare for Week 10. 3 weeks, including this one, remain. It's crunch time. Robert Morris will wrap up the non-conference schedule. We have 3 key conference matchups. 2 one-loss teams meet in New Britain. We have our NEC football on ESPN3 Game of the Week and Staten Island. Let's preview all the action, diving right in to the No Huddle preview. We kick it off with the lone non-conference game on the docket, the last non-conference game for any Northeast Conference team this regular season. It's Robert Morris at home welcoming East Tennessee State University. Robert Morris will be the second NEC team to take on ETSU this season. St. Francis handled East Tennessee 58-9 early on this fall. ETSU is playing this season as an FCS independent before joining the Southern Conference for the 2016 campaign. John Banaszak and his Robert Morris Colonials are eager to get back into the win column. After a gutsy road victory back in Week 5, the Colonials have dropped 3 straight. To put it simple, they've been plagued by turnovers. The offense committed 8 turnovers in a loss to Sacred Heart. Last week, in a loss at Central, the Colonials gave the ball away 6 times. In addition to taking care of the football, watch for Robert Morris to turn Kyle Buss loose. The rookie receiver is emerging into a future star. 8 catches, 160 yards last week at Central. With 1 more catch, he will set Robert Morris's all-time program freshman record. You can watch Buss and the Colonials take on ETSU live on Front Row. Now to Fairfield, Connecticut we go, where Duquesne will visit Sacred Heart. 2 of the NEC's premier programs in recent years. The teams that were picked 2nd and 3rd in this year's preseason coaches poll, both teams are still in contention for the Northeast Conference crown. Sacred Heart head coach Mark Nofri says his Pioneers know what's on the line Saturday.
The kids understand what's at stake. We talked about it this week a little bit. It'll be the first time. Right now we're going after 3 consecutive winning seasons. We haven't done that since 2003. It was the last time we did that. So we still want to play for a winning record. We still want to finish strong. We got some young kids playing. We got some kids banged up like everyone else in the country does. But I think our mindset is that we're going to get back home here, get back on the winning road or winning streak again, and hopefully play well on Saturday.
So a win for Sacred Heart will put them right back into the mix. Meanwhile, a win for Duquesne will bring the Dukes closer to that elusive FCS playoff bid they've been hunting for the past few seasons. NEC Front Row viewers, you're in for a treat with this one. Prime players on both sides of the ball, 2 of the best receivers in FCS, Duquesne's Chris King, 6 touchdowns this season. Preseason All-American has 53 catches. That's 2nd in the Northeast Conference. Who's first? Well, it's Sacred Heart's Tyler Doobie. The 5th-year senior has been off the charts this season. He leads the NEC in catches with 55, receiving yards well over 900, and 7 receiving touchdowns. He's an All-America candidate, and you'll get to watch him right here on Front Row, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, November 7th. And then there are 2 defensive stars, one in the Duquesne linebacking core. That's Christian Kuntz. The junior, who missed the entire 2014 campaign due to injury, has come back stronger than ever. 17 tackles for a loss for Kuntz. That's number 1 in Division I FCS. In Sacred Heart's linebacking core, it's James Rentz, an all-NEC player as a freshman and as a sophomore. He has 7 sacks in 6 games this season. That's the most in the Northeast Conference. When it comes to prime-time receivers and top-tier linebackers, there will be plenty of them when Duquesne visits Sacred Heart. Continuing along the Week 10 slate, 2 one-loss teams squaring off at Central Connecticut's Root Field. CCSU welcoming St. Francis U to New Britain. The Blue Devils at 3-1, tied for first place in the NEC standings. The Red Flash 2-1, a half game off that pace. Just more proof that preseason polls can be erroneous by nature. The Red Flash were tabbed for a 5th place finish. Central was picked 6th. Well, we're in November, and these 2 teams are duking it out for first place. Some of the reasons why Central's in the mix? Well, their young defenders are coming of age and making plays, just like freshman linebacker Dwight Lomax, who blocked a punt. Linebacker Kier Miner, a sophomore, was there to scoop it up for a touchdown in last week's rumble over Robert Morris. Lomax, Miner, and the rest of the CCSU defense will go up against St. Francis U, the 2nd-ranked red zone offense in America. The Red Flash have scored in 28 of 29 trips inside of the opponent's 20. Although he's not an underclassman, cornerback Javon Elmore is another key to that CCSU defense, and he's been great guarding receivers in the red zone. We saw him bat away numerous passes in a Week 8 victory at rival Sacred Heart. On the other side, St. Francis's pass defense isn't too shabby either. In fact, the Red Flash ranked number 1 in the Northeast Conference, only 174 pass yards allowed per contest. You better believe that safety Lorenzo Jerome, 11 career picks, and cornerback Daquan Minter, 12 career INTs. That's tied for first amongst FCS active leaders. You better believe they have something to do with that, and they'll look to lock up the Blue Devils in the pass game on Saturday. Red Flash, Blue Devils, first place on the line. Watch it right here, NEC Front Row, 12 p.m. on Saturday. On to our final game. It's the NEC Football on ESPN3 Game of the Week. It's a grudge match which will unfold on Staten Island. Bryant and Wagner, these 2 teams met in last year's regular season finale in what was essentially an NEC championship game. The Seahawks pulled out a last-minute win, and that left Bryant with some unfinished business. Marty Fine's Bulldogs, who topped the NEC preseason coaches poll, are 2-1 in league play. They're coming off a non-conference loss to Patriot League member Holy Cross. They led that game 33-24 in the 4th quarter before falling by 1 point. Marty Fine said that penalties were the problem.
And the note to me after the game was too many penalties. A genius, I tell you. And they're right. We had too many penalties. We played good enough to win the game, but made too many mistakes.
The good news for Fine is that his defense has gotten healthy in time for the stretch run.
Having Chucky Wingate back, having Brandon Owens back, having Marquise Watson back out there, having all these older guys coming back and playing makes a big difference for us. And I thought defensively, we had moments in that game where we played about as good as we're going to play.
Now those healthy defenders will face a hungry Wagner team on Saturday on ESPN3, a Seahawks team that has at times this year enjoyed success running the football.
The Wagner issue is this. We have to stop their run game. They do a real good job with the zone reads and the quarterback runs. And last year we had a real trouble with their quarterback, the big left-handed guy. And we have to be good in the run game to make them get into pass situations. Then you can be successful rushing the passer.
The previews are in the books. Now it's time for a Twitter timeout. As always, we feature one NEC-related tweet from the past week in social media. My man Path to Success 35 has this week's top tweet. He's shouting out St. Francis receiver Terrell Smith, the co-offensive player of the week in the Northeast Conference. Astute observation by Mr. Success right here. Terrell is on pace for a 1,000-yard season. Smith has 752 receiving yards, 3 games to go. He averages over 100 per game, so it's looking good for Terrell Smith to reach that milestone mark. We break the huddle from the Twitter timeout, and we go into some X's and O's. I'm calling a bit of an audible on this segment this week. Yes, we'll still look at a top defensive player, but instead of featuring an offensive performer, we're going to take a look at a specialist this week. And we start with that specialist who's having a special season for Wagner. It's punter Bryant Rafano. Rafano boomed a couple of 55-plus yarders in a recent trip at Brigham Young. 41 yards per kick, that's second in the NEC. Even more impressive has been Rafano's placement, battling those always swirling winds at Wagner College Stadium, Hamline Field. Rafano has placed 13 punts inside of the opponent's 20, and 14 of his kicks have been fair caught. Only 1 of 51 punts have rolled into the end zone for a touchback. Making matters even more impressive, Rafano is performing this well while his mother is in a tough battle with cancer. His teammates wore pink armbands for support in last week's game. Now moving over to the defensive side of the ball, you will also see this man in Saturday's NEC Football ESPN3 Game of the Week. It's Bryant defensive back Chucky Wingate. The North Jersey product has made 24 tackles in 6 games this season. He has 6 pass breakups and 1 interception, which he took to the house against Holy Cross. Wingate has missed 2 games this year due to injury, but head coach Marty Fine is glad he's back.
He makes a difference. You know, we lost those 3 or 4 key defensive players in the middle of the year, and as we get them back, our defense gets better and better, because I think we do a good job of coaching, but you got to have good players.
And that's our show. Week 10 of Northeast Conference football awaits. 1 non-league matchup, 3 key conference contests. Wagner hosting Bryant in the NECFB on ESPN3 Game of the Week. It's going to be a good one, folks. Enjoy. And thanks for joining me, Ralph Ventre, on the Whole 9 Yards. See you again next week right here on Front Row.